There comes a moment in life when everything you once relied on begins to feel unfamiliar. You've done everything right, you've worked hard, you've cared deeply, yet a strange silent fatigue has settled into your bones. It's a restlessness that doesn't go away with sleep, an emotional distance from the people you love, and a sudden, terrifying sense that the meaning has drained out of your daily routine. You feel like you are falling apart. But in the profound wisdom of Buddhism, we recognize this not as a failure, but as Anicca, the sacred law of impermanence revealing itself. You are not breaking down. You are being gently released from a version of yourself that you have simply outgrown. The mind desperately craves stability, but life, by its very nature, demands movement. What if the collapse you fear is actually the opening you've been praying for? Today, we are going to explore why your world is shifting and how to navigate this quiet transformation with grace. You aren't losing your life. You are losing the illusion of control to make room for the truth of who you are. Let us step into the stillness together and understand why, when things fall away, you are finally becoming free. 1. What feels like collapse is actually letting go. The first thing you feel when your world begins to shift is a profound sense of grief. It starts as a quiet cracking in the foundation of your identity. You look in the mirror and the person staring back feels like a stranger. The roles you played so convincingly, the high achiever, the caretaker, the one who always had the answers, no longer fit. They feel like heavy, borrowed clothes that have become too small for your spirit. Perhaps a long-term relationship is drifting into silence, or a career that once defined your worth now feels hollow and grey. In these moments, the mind screams, "My life is breaking down." We feel a desperate urge to grab the hammer and nails, to patch the cracks, to force the pieces back into the shapes they used to hold. We mistake this dissolution for a catastrophe. But in the quiet light of Zen, we see a different truth. What you are experiencing is the sacred loosening of Upādāna, the act of clinging. We suffer not because life is changing, but because we are trying to anchor ourselves to a river that was always meant to flow. Imagine a tree in the heart of autumn. As the air turns cold, the tree does not struggle to keep its leaves. It does not look at the gold and crimson foliage scattering across the forest floor and think, "I am failing." It doesn't cry out in agony as its branches become bare. Why? Because the tree understands the wisdom of the season. It knows that the leaves are not the tree. They were merely a temporary expression of its life, a garment worn for a summer that has now passed. The tree lets go because it must not to die, but to preserve its essence, to pull its energy deep into its roots, and to prepare for a rebirth that the mind cannot yet see. If your life feels like it is shedding, it is because you are in your own season of autumn. Life is not punishing you by taking things away. It is simply removing what is no longer aligned with the frequency of your soul. The universe is a master gardener, pruning the branches that have become brittle so that new growth can eventually find the sun. There is an old Zen saying, "Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes, and the grass grows by itself." We spend so much energy trying to make the grass grow, trying to force our lives to stay green when they need to rest. We forget that the breakdown is actually a breakthrough in disguise. It is the sound of the cage door opening. When you stop fighting the dissolution, you notice something miraculous. The core of who you are remains untouched. The titles, the possessions, and the expectations of others were just reflections on the surface of the water. When the ripples fade, the depth of the lake is finally revealed. Take a deep breath and remember this quiet insight. You do not lose what is truly yours. You only lose what you are holding too tightly. Let the leaves fall. Trust the bare branches. Your transformation has already begun. 2. Your suffering comes from resisting change. When the foundations of our lives begin to tremble, the first question we ask, often through tears or gritted teeth, is, why does this feel so incredibly painful? We feel as though we are being torn apart, as if the universe has suddenly turned its back on us. But if we look closer, with the steady eyes of a practitioner, we discover a profound secret about the nature of pain. The Buddha once shared a teaching of timeless clarity known as the two arrows. He explained that in life we are inevitably struck by the first arrow. This first arrow represents the unavoidable pains of human existence: the loss of a job, the ending of a season, the physical aging of the body, or the simple, persistent fact of change. This arrow is part of the world. It is the price of being alive. It hurts, yes, but it is a clean wound. The real tragedy occurs when we strike ourselves with the second arrow. The second arrow is our reaction to the first. It is the resistance. It is the voice in our head screaming, "This shouldn't be happening," or "How do I fix this right now?" While the first arrow causes physical or situational pain, the second arrow creates suffering. We take a situation that is naturally ending, perhaps a chapter of our life that has reached its final page, and we try to rewrite the ending with our bare, bleeding hands. We try to fix the sunset, not realizing that the sun must set for the stars to appear. Think of your mind like a swimmer caught in a powerful ocean current. The current is change, it is moving, whether you like it or not. The pain you feel isn't actually the water. It is the exhaustion of your muscles as you try to swim upstream, desperate to return to a shore that no longer exists. You are fighting the very fabric of reality, and that friction is what burns. In Zen, there is a beautiful, quiet wisdom. Flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. We often believe that if we just think harder, worry more, or analyze every detail, we can stop the wheels of transformation. We treat change as an intruder, to be bargained with or defeated. But change is not an intruder. It is the only constant. When you try to hold back the tide of your own evolution, you aren't being strong, you are simply becoming rigid. And in nature, the rigid branch is the one that snaps in the wind, while the supple bamboo survives by bending. The pain you feel right now is not coming from the change itself. The change is neutral. The pain is coming from the gap between how life is and how you think it should be. The wider that gap, the deeper the suffering. When you stop arguing with the universe, something miraculous happens. The second arrow vanishes. The wound from the first arrow remains, but it begins to heal because you are no longer picking at it with your anxiety. You realize that you don't need to fix your life, you need to allow it. You need to breathe into the discomfort and say, "This too is part of the path." Carry this micro-realization in your heart today. Peace does not come when you finally get everything you want. Peace begins the moment you stop arguing with reality. In that surrender, the struggle ends, and the true transformation begins. 3. You have outgrown your old life. There is a specific kind of loneliness that arrives not when you are alone, but when you are surrounded by everything you thought you wanted. You sit in the same office, speak to the same friends, and engage in the same hobbies that used to bring you comfort, yet suddenly everything feels strangely hollow. The work that once fueled your ambition now feels like a tedious script you've memorized but no longer believe in. Conversations that used to be vibrant now feel shallow, like skipping stones across a frozen pond. Even your old joys, the music, the places, the rituals seem distant, as if you are watching them through a thick pane of glass. In these moments of profound disconnection, the mind begins to panic. It whispers, "Is something wrong with me? Why am I losing interest in everything? Why does nothing feel right anymore?" But in the light of Buddhist wisdom, this is not a sign of depression or failure. It is a sign of vipassana, a clear seeing, or an expansion of your awareness. You are waking up. When a sleeper begins to stir, the comfort of the blanket and the warmth of the dream are no longer enough. The soul begins to crave the open air and the morning light. Consider the metaphor of a simple ceramic teacup. For a long time, that cup was your world. It was sturdy, reliable, and perfectly shaped to hold the small amount of water you needed to survive. But as your spirit begins to expand, as your consciousness deepens and seeks a connection to the infinite, you are no longer trying to hold a few ounces of water. You are trying to hold the entire ocean. The cup cannot hold the ocean. It was never meant to. As the vast salt-heavy waves of your true potential begin to pour in, the walls of your old life begin to crack. The emptiness you feel at work or in shallow social circles is simply the sound of that cup shattering. It is painful to watch the shards fall, but it is the only way to realize that you were never the cup, you are the vastness that was trying to fit inside it. There is an old Zen story about a scholar who went to visit a master. The master poured tea until the cup overflowed, and when the scholar cried out for him to stop, the master replied, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" Right now, life is emptying your cup for you. It is stripping away the familiar so that you can finally encounter the true. You haven't lost your passion. You have outgrown the narrow channels through which you used to express it. You haven't lost your friends. You have simply reached a level of depth where small talk no longer sustains you. Your life is not failing. It is simply becoming too small for the person you are becoming. When the shell of a seed cracks, it looks like a disaster. It looks like the end of the seed. But in reality, it is the only moment the tree truly begins. Stop trying to glue the pieces of your old cup back together. Instead, stand in the ruins of what used to be and look out at the horizon. The ocean is waiting. Hold this quiet truth in your heart. You are not losing your way. You are merely leaving a room that is no longer large enough for you to breathe. Trust the expansion. The void you feel is not a hole. It is a clearing. 4. The need for solitude is not weakness. Have you noticed a sudden magnetic pull toward your own company? A quiet, persistent urge to cancel the dinner plans, to leave the group chat on read, or to simply sit in a dark room and listen to the rhythm of your own breath. In a world that measures your value by how much you show up, this sudden desire to withdraw can feel like a failure. You might worry that you are sliding into depression or that you're losing your edge. You ask yourself, why do I want to hide from everything? Why does the world feel so loud and exhausting? But here is the truth that the modern world is too noisy to tell you. This is not a breakdown. This is an inner turning. In the lineage of ancient wisdom, solitude has never been seen as a sign of weakness. It is the prerequisite for power. Long before he became the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama had to leave the palace. He had to walk away from the banquets, the music, and the constant expectations of his role. He didn't leave because he hated people. He left because the noise of his old life was drowning out the whisper of the truth. He knew that you cannot hear the universe when everyone around you is telling you who you should be. Think of yourself right now as a seed. To the outside observer, a seed buried under the cold, dark earth looks like it's doing nothing. It looks lost. It looks withdrawn. But it is in that very darkness, away from the heat of the sun and the prying eyes of the world, that the seed's shell finally cracks. It is in the silence that its DNA activates, preparing the strength it needs to eventually pierce through the soil. Or consider the caterpillar in its cocoon. Inside that silk walls there is no hustle, there is no networking. In fact, the caterpillar completely dissolves. It becomes a liquid mess. If you were to peek inside, you'd think something had gone terribly wrong. But that total withdrawal, that period of invisible melting, is the only way a butterfly is ever born. Your desire for solitude is your soul's way of building its cocoon. You are liquefying your old habits, your old fears, and your old ways of relating to the world. You aren't empty during this time, you are preparing. Silence is not a void. It is a laboratory where your next version is being forged. The great masters often reminded us that silence speaks, but only to those who stop trying to talk over it. When you withdraw, you aren't running away from life, you are running toward the source of life. You are giving yourself permission to stop performing and start being. Sit with this quiet truth today. Transformation does not happen in the noise of the marketplace. It happens in the stillness of the heart. Do not apologize for your need to be alone. The forest doesn't apologize for the mist, and the moon doesn't apologize for its phases. Your solitude is sacred. Respect it, and let the quiet do its work. 5. The old self must end for the true self to appear. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt as though you were staring at a ghost? Not a frightening spirit, but simply a person you no longer know. You look at your old photos, your old social media posts, or even the way you used to speak, and it feels like you are watching a character from a movie you saw a long time ago. This is perhaps the most frightening part of any major life shift, the dissolution of identity. When your career changes, your relationship ends, or your health shifts, the role self, the version of you that was defined by what you did and who you were to others, begins to crumble. You ask yourself, if I am no longer a provider, or a partner, or a success, then who am I? In the heart of Buddhist teaching, there is a liberating yet challenging concept often described as the non-self. It suggests that the you've been trying so hard to maintain, the fixed, unchangeable identity with all its labels and boundaries, doesn't actually exist. We are not a static statue carved in stone. We are more like a river. A river looks like one single thing from a distance, but the water flowing through it is never the same from one second to the next. Right now, you are not losing yourself. You are simply shedding a skin that has become too tight. Imagine a traveler who has been walking for miles through a storm. To survive, they had to wear heavy, waterproof layers, carry a massive backpack of supplies, and hold a sturdy umbrella. Those items were life-saving in the rain. But now the sun has come out. The sky is clear. If that traveler insists on keeping the heavy coat and the open umbrella just because that's who they were during the storm, they will eventually collapse from the heat and the weight. You are currently standing in the sun, but you are still trying to carry the identity of the person who survived the storm. The confusion you feel, that sense of not recognizing yourself, is actually the weight of those heavy layers finally slipping off your shoulders. You aren't becoming nothing, you are becoming everything else. You are losing what you were never meant to carry forever. However, before you fully step into this new version of yourself, you must do something vital. You must honor the version of you that is leaving. That old self was a hero. It was the version of you that navigated the trauma. The version that stayed up late to make things work. The version that built a shield to protect your heart when the world felt cold. Do not look back at that person with shame or frustration. Do not call them weak or lost. Instead, look back with the compassion of a Buddha and say, "Thank you. You protected me when I didn't know how to protect myself. You did your job perfectly. But I am safe now. You can rest." When you stop trying to fix the old mask and instead allow it to fall away, you make a startling discovery. Beneath the roles, beneath the titles, and beneath the expectations, there is a true self that is vast, peaceful, and unbreakable. Remember this emotional beat. You are not a masterpiece that is being destroyed. You are a masterpiece that is being uncovered. Let the old self go with a smile of gratitude. It served its purpose. Now, it's time to see who you are when you finally travel light. 6. Feeling lost is part of awakening. Perhaps the most exhausting part of this journey is the persistent, heavy fog that seems to have settled over your path. You wake up, and the internal compass you've used for decades simply spins in circles. You feel confused, uncertain, and if you are being honest, deeply afraid. We have been conditioned to believe that finding yourself or awakening should feel like a lightning bolt of sudden, crystalline clarity. We expect a map to appear with a bright red arrow pointing exactly toward our destiny. But in the quiet corridors of the heart, awakening doesn't look like a map. It looks like a mist. In the ancient traditions of the East, there is a concept called the middle way. Most people think the middle way is just about moderation, not too much, not too little. But in its deepest sense, the middle way is about the courage to leave the extremes behind. On one side, there is the extreme of your past, everything you used to know. On the other side, there is the extreme of your future, everything you want to become. To walk the middle way is to stand precisely in the center, in the not knowing, and that not knowing feels a lot like being lost. Think of a trapeze artist performing high above the ground. To move from one bar to the next, there is a terrifying, breathless second where they must let go of the first bar and fly through the empty air. In that split second, they are holding on to nothing. They have no support, no safety, and no identity. They are neither here nor there. From the outside, it looks like they are falling. But that moment of flight, that moment of being completely unsupported, is the only way to reach the next level. You are currently in that mid-air flight. The disorientation you feel is not a sign that you have missed a turn. It is a sign that you have had the immense bravery to let go of the old bar. There is a profound beauty in Zen called the don't know mind. We spend our whole lives trying to be experts, trying to have all the answers, trying to be certain. But certainty is a closed door. When you think you know exactly who you are and where you are going, you leave no room for the universe to surprise you. When you are lost, however, you are finally wide open. For the first time, your pride is quiet, your ego is humbled, and you are truly listening. This uncertainty is a sacred space. It is the fertile soil where a new life is germinated. If you were certain, you would just repeat your past. Because you are uncertain, you are finally capable of something entirely new. When the panic rises, when you feel the urge to run back to the familiar, even if the familiar was a cage, take a slow, deep breath. Remind yourself that the fog is not there to blind you. It is there to protect you while you are being rebuilt. It is keeping the world away so you can focus on the quiet work of your own spirit. Hold this quiet line in your mind as you navigate the mist. You are not lost. You are simply between versions of yourself. The fog will lift when the time is right. For now, trust the flight. Trust the space between. You are exactly where you need to be. 7. What is leaving has already completed its purpose. There is a specific sharp ache that comes when you realize something you love is slipping through your fingers. It might be the ghost of a friendship that was once your anchor, a career path that has hit a dead end, or a dream that simply no longer fits the person you see in the mirror. In the quiet hours of the night, the heart cries out, "Why am I losing the things I cared about? What did I do wrong?" We tend to view loss as a personal failure, a sign that we weren't strong enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to make things stay. But the ancient wisdom of the East offers a far more compassionate lens. There is a fundamental law of the universe. Everything that arises must also pass. This isn't meant to be cold or indifferent. It is the very pulse of life itself. Imagine you are attending a school. You enter a classroom, you meet a teacher, and for a year that person is the most important guide in your world. They challenge you, they support you, and they change the way you see the world. But when the final bell rings and you've mastered the curriculum, you don't stay in that room forever. You don't cling to the desk and weep that you've lost your education. You walk out the door because the lesson is complete. In the grand theater of your life, people, places, and circumstances are often sacred teachers. Some are meant to stay for a lifetime, but many are only meant to stay for a chapter. They arrive precisely when you need to learn a specific lesson about boundaries, about self-worth, about love, or even about resilience. And the moment that lesson is fully integrated into your soul, the contract is fulfilled. When a door closes or a connection fades, it is rarely a punishment. It is the universe's way of saying, "You have learned everything this situation had to teach you. There is nothing left for you here but repetition." If the universe allowed you to stay in a completed chapter, you would begin to wither. You would stop growing. By removing what is no longer serving your evolution, life is actually honoring your potential. Think of a river. The water that touches your feet right now is not the same water that touched them a second ago. The river is only a river because the water is constantly leaving. If the water stopped leaving, it would become a stagnant pond. Your life is that river. Grief, then, is not a sign that you are broken. Grief is the natural echo of a beautiful lesson. It is the heart's way of saying, "This mattered." Instead of focusing on the emptiness where that person or dream used to be, try to look at the shape they left in you. How are you kinder because of them? How are you stronger? Hold this emotional insight close to your heart. Grief is not just about losing something, it is the final act of honoring what that thing gave you. When you realize that nothing is truly lost but rather completed, the sting of the departure begins to soften. You can say goodbye with a bow of gratitude, knowing that as one teacher leaves the room, the next lesson is already preparing to begin. Trust that the space being cleared right now is a landing strip for a miracle you haven't even imagined yet. 8. The new path will not come from force. Now that the old structures of your life have crumbled and the fog of uncertainty has settled in, you face the most haunting question of all. What should I do next? In our world of high-speed targets and endless productivity, we are taught that when we are lost, we must move faster. We feel a frantic, almost violent urge to fix our future. We want a 5-year plan, a guaranteed outcome, and a clear map. The mind, acting like a panicked architect, tries to build a new house while the ground is still shaking. We try to force clarity, believing that if we just think harder, network more, or grit our teeth, the next door will swing open. But in the quiet wisdom of the path, we learn that clarity is not something you create, it is something you allow. There is a beautiful teaching regarding what is often called right effort. Imagine a musician tuning an ancient lute. If the strings are wound too tight, they will snap the moment you try to play a melody. If they are left too loose, they will never produce a sound. The music only happens in the middle, where the tension is just right. Most of us are living with our strings wound so tight that we are screaming with internal tension. We think effort means struggle. We think that if we aren't exhausted, we aren't trying. But the universe doesn't respond to your sweat and desperation. It responds to your alignment. Think of your life not as a machine you have to crank by hand, but as a river you are learning to navigate. When you try to force a new path, it feels like a loud push. It is driven by fear, the fear of being left behind, the fear of being nothing, or the fear of the unknown. A push feels heavy. It leaves you drained, bitter, and constantly checking the clock. The true path, however, feels like a quiet pull. A pull is different. It doesn't shout. It tugs gently at your sleeve. It's that small, persistent spark of curiosity about a subject you never considered before. It's the sudden, inexplicable urge to walk down a different street, or to call someone you haven't spoken to in years. While a push demands that you know the destination, a pull only asks that you take the very next step. There is an old story of an archer who practiced for years. When he shot for fun, he had all the skill in the world. But when he shot for a prize of gold, he became nervous and blind. He had the same skill, but because he was forcing the outcome, his vision was clouded by his own desire. Right now, you are shooting for the gold. You are so worried about what's next that you are missing the what is. The new path will not look like the old one. If you try to build your future out of the bricks of your past, you will only recreate the same room you just outgrew. This is why the universe often keeps the next step hidden until you truly let go of the familiar. Familiarity is a ghost of safety. Truth is the living pulse of the moment. Take this guidance with you into the silence. Follow what feels true, even if it scares you. Do not follow what feels familiar just because it's comfortable. The next version of your life is already calling to you. It doesn't need your force. It only needs your ears to listen and your feet to move when the timing is right. Stop pushing against the river. Let it carry you to the shore you were always meant to find. 9. Some people will not walk with you anymore. There is a specific quiet heartache that arrives when you realize that the people who once stood at the center of your world now feel like distant stars. You sit at the same dinner table, you share the same memories, yet the connection feels thin, as if you are trying to hold a conversation through a heavy fog. You might feel a sense of guilt, wondering if you've become cold or too much. You ask yourself, why do I feel so distant from the people I love? Am I losing them, or am I losing my mind? In the wisdom of the path, we understand that every human being is walking their own unique journey, governed by their own timing and their own internal momentum. We often think of our lives as a single, static photograph, but life is actually a series of shifting frequencies. Think of it like a radio. For years, you and your circle were all tuned to the same station. You shared the same jokes, the same worries, and the same frequency of awareness. But as you begin to awaken, as you start to prioritize peace over drama and truth over comfort, you are essentially turning the dial. You are moving toward a different broadcast. It's not that the old station was bad. It's simply that your ears can no longer hear it clearly. You haven't become better than them. You have just moved to a different part of the spectrum. In ancient teachings, this is often viewed through the lens of individual paths. We come together for a season to help each other learn a specific lesson, to balance a certain debt, or to reflect a part of ourselves we couldn't see. But once that purpose is fulfilled, the energy that held the connection together begins to dissipate. Imagine two trains sitting side by side at a station. For a long time, they share the same platform, the same view, and the same rhythm. But eventually, the whistles blow. One train is destined for the mountains, and the other is destined for the sea. They aren't rejecting each other when they pull away. They are simply following the tracks they were meant to travel. Divergence is not a tragedy. It is an act of nature. It can be tempting to try and drag people along with you. We try to explain our new insights. We try to save them, or we try to shrink ourselves down so we can still fit into the old conversations. But you cannot force someone to see what they are not yet ready to perceive. Just as you cannot force a flower to bloom in the middle of winter, you cannot force another soul to accelerate their own timing. The most compassionate thing you can do, the most Zen thing you can do, is to let them go with love. This doesn't always mean a dramatic goodbye or a door slammed shut. Often, it is a quiet, internal release. You honor the role they played in your story, you cherish the warmth they once provided, and then you allow the distance to exist without bitterness. Carry this quiet truth as you walk your new path. You are not being abandoned. You are being redirected toward those who are currently vibrating at the same frequency of truth as you. Trust that as some hands let go, new ones, hands that understand the depth of your silence and the height of your dreams, are already preparing to reach out. You are not walking alone. You are just walking toward your true tribe. Closing, trust the quiet transformation. We return now to that quiet, unsettling recognition we felt at the beginning, the sensation that everything you once relied on is falling apart. By now, I hope you see that the shaking ground was never meant to swallow you. It was meant to wake you up. In the vast wisdom of the path, we learn that impermanence, the very thing we fear most, is not our enemy. It is our greatest teacher. It is the wind that clears the dead wood so the forest can breathe. It is the frost that prepares the soil for a spring we cannot yet imagine. When we stop fighting the change, we realize a profound truth. What is falling away is not your life. It is the illusion of control. You were never truly holding the reins of the universe. You were only exhausting yourself by pretending that you were. As the old roles, the shallow connections, and the heavy expectations dissolve, do not grieve for them. They were only layers of dust on a diamond. You are not becoming someone new through this pain. You are doing something much more sacred. You are remembering who you are beneath everything. You are the stillness that remains when the noise stops. You are the vast sky that stays clear and open, no matter how many dark clouds pass through it. If this message has brought a sense of release to your heart, if you are ready to stop the chase and start the flow, I invite you to leave a mark of your intention. Comment the word free below. Let it be a quiet signal to yourself and the universe that you are no longer a prisoner of your own resistance. Take one final, deep breath. The storm is passing, and the air is becoming clear. So let it fall. Let it change. And in the quiet that follows, trust what begins to grow. Take care, and may peace be with you on every step of the journey.